But I didn't like that he had met with Jeffrey Epstein. No, Warren, he was evil, and I had nightmares about it afterward. So when Bill and Melinda Gates announced they were divorcing after almost 30 years of marriage, the world was shocked. It was like seeing a perfect power couple fall apart in front of our eyes. They were supposed to be the model of success, charity, and unity, but in reality, they were anything but. Something had changed. Melinda's decision to divorce Bill wasn't just a normal end to a marriage, it was a dramatic turn that caught everyone off guard. This made everyone wonder what made her make this life-changing choice. The truth behind their split is more shocking than you might think. Recently, Melinda Gates broke her silence and told us what caused her to divorce Bill Gates. Before we get to the shocking truth that Melinda has been hiding for years, let's take a look at their relationship from the very beginning. Bill and Melinda Gates met when Melinda French started working at Microsoft as a product manager in 1987. She probably had no idea that she would meet the man who would become her husband and one of the richest people in the world. Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft, met Melinda at a sales meeting in New York City. Their first meeting wasn't exactly love at first sight, though. When Bill first asked her out, it felt too planned for Melinda. He suggested a date 2 weeks in advance, and she told him straight out that she had no idea what she'd be doing that far in advance, and she didn't find him attractive. Bill wasn't one to give up easily, so an hour later he called her back and asked, "Is this spontaneous enough for you?" That must have impressed Melinda, because she agreed to give it a try. This playful start set the stage for a relationship full of shared dreams, challenges, and in the end, heartbreak. Fast forward to 1993, 6 years after their first date. A guy proposed to Melinda, but most of the details of their engagement are still a secret. To celebrate, they took a trip to Africa later that year. This trip wasn't just a vacation, it turned into an important event that changed their lives. While walking on a beach in Zanzibar, they had a conversation that would change the course of their lives. They talked about how they would use their newfound freedom. The two talked about using Bill's money from Microsoft to make a difference in the world, and this led to the creation of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in 2000, which is now one of the most well-known charities in the world. They got married in Hawaii on January 1st, 1994, on the island of Lanai, so that they could keep their wedding private. They went to great lengths to keep it a secret. The couple reportedly booked all 250 rooms at the Manel Bay Hotel, and even all the helicopters on Maui to avoid any media interference. Their wedding was small, with only 130 family and friends in attendance. 2 years later, in April 1996, Bill and Melinda welcomed their first child, a daughter named Jennifer Catherine. Becoming parents was a big deal for both of them, but Melinda made a big choice around this time. Bill was surprised when she quit her job at Microsoft to become a stay-at-home mom. It wasn't an easy decision, but Melinda was sure that one of them had to be home to raise their kids and teach them the values that they held dear. She thought that if they wanted their kids to grow up with the same values, one parent had to be actively involved at home years before the kids were born. After the Gates divorce in December 1998, the couple took a big step in their charitable work by starting a children's vaccine program. They also announced a $100 million investment to make it easier for people in developing countries to get vaccines. This was a sign of their shared desire to make the world a better place. The night before they made this announcement, Bill and Melinda were honored at the Charity for All Kids benefit with Hillary Clinton, which showed how committed they were to global health issues. The next year, in May 1999, they had their second child, a son named Rory. Melinda has often talked about Rory's personality, calling him caring, curious, and well-informed. She has also said that he shares her parents' love of puzzles and has become a feminist. which makes her very proud. The year 2000 was a big one in their lives because that's when they officially started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They merged the Gates Learning Foundation, which provided PCs to libraries across the U.S., with a foundation started by Bill's father. The new organization was funded by Bill's money from Microsoft and a big donation from Warren Buffett. Melinda stressed that this was a partnership of equals and wanted everyone to know about it. Bill and Melinda were running the foundation together, and their shared values guided the work they did. Despite their busy lives, Bill and Melinda found time to enjoy each other's company. In October 2001, they were seen sharing a sweet moment during a tennis match in Seattle, showing that even with their busy schedules, they still found time for each other. A year later, in September 2002, they welcomed their third child, a daughter named Phoebe. Melinda has spoken out about how lovingly of Phoebe, calling her smart, playful, and caring in an essay for Time she wrote about her hopes for a world where young women like Phoebe have equal opportunities. Their commitment to charity was recognized when, in 2005, they pledged $750 million to help people get vaccines and distribute them. Bill and Melinda were named Time Persons of the Year, sharing the honor with Bono under the title The Good Samaritans. This award shows how much their foundation has helped and how much they want to improve global health. Melinda Gates in 2015, she made a big move by starting Pivotal Ventures, a company whose goal is to improve women's roles in the professional world. With a $1 billion doll pledge, Melinda wanted to close the gender gap and give women the chances they deserve. This was a big step that showed how committed she was to making a difference beyond the work she did with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The next year, in 2016, Bill and Melinda's charitable work was recognized at the highest level when they were given the Presidential Medal of Freedom. This is the United States' highest civilian honor, and it was a fitting tribute to the couple's unwavering efforts to improve people's lives around the world. They made a big difference in the world by eradicating diseases and improving education, but that wasn't the end of their praise. In April 2017, the French government gave Bill and Melinda the Legion of Honor, which is one of France's highest honors and shows how dedicated they are to humanitarian causes. This award solidifies their reputation as global philanthropists. Even with all of these awards, Bill and Melinda still found time for themselves. In an interview with People in 2018, they talked about their personal lives. Bill said that they liked doing jigsaw puzzles together and binge-watching TV shows like Abby. Melinda added that they were watching This Is Us at the time, though the show's emotional scenes made them think twice about watching it. Even though they were both very busy, they found joy in these simple activities. Melinda also thought about how strong their relationship was, mentioning how they worked together to run their foundation, sharing ideas and challenging each other's thinking. By 2019, Bill and Melinda had been married for 25 years. To celebrate, Melinda shared a sweet tribute on Instagram with a funny story from their wedding. Bill, the mathematician, tried to cut the wedding cake into perfectly measured slices, but the cake's middle was made of cardboard. This funny memory showed how much they loved and laughed together over the years. Melinda wrote, "I thought my heart was full that night, but the last 25 years have taught me just how full a heart can get in a 2019 Netflix series, Inside Bill's." The couple talked about how their relationship started. When they met, both were focused on other things. Melinda had other boyfriends and Bill was busy with Microsoft, but as time went on, their bond grew stronger. They went from being partners to being separated in March 2020 as the world dealt with the pandemic. Bill and Melinda once again stepped up to the plate with their foundation, pledged $125 million to help fight the virus by funding research into vaccines and treatments. This showed their dedication to global health and their desire to make a difference during one of the worst times in recent history. However, in May 2021, after 27 years of marriage, Bill and Melinda announced they were getting a divorce. In a joint statement, they said they would still support their foundation and believe in its mission, but they also said that a lot of people were shocked by the news because they had been together for a long time. By August 2021, they were officially divorced, but Melinda kept her name, and the couple continued to work together on charity projects. But what happened that caused them to split up? From the outside, it looked like they had a great life, so what went wrong? When Bill and Melinda Gates announced they were divorcing, everyone was shocked. How could one of the most powerful couples, known for their shared charity work and seemingly perfect life, decide to split up after 27 years? The truth is that things weren't as perfect as they seemed on the surface. Bill Gates is famous around the world as a software genius and a billionaire philanthropist. There have been many reports and accusations about Bill Gates' behavior. It's not clear how much Melinda knew about these behaviors or if they directly caused the split, but this revelation certainly adds another layer to their story. People close to the couple said that the problems in their marriage weren't completely new. A source said that it was a combination of things that led to the divorce, mentioning that the couple's youngest daughter, Phoebe, graduating from high school played a role. A source said that Bill and Melinda may have stayed together for the sake of their children, like many other couples. But once their kids were out of school, the reasons to stay together seemed to fade. Despite the emotional problems, Bill and Melinda were determined to keep things civil. The source said that neither of them wanted to invite anyone to their wedding. Though they didn't want to bring each other down, rumors said that Melinda and her family were very angry with Bill. Some sources even said that her family had taken her side because of something Bill was said to have done. Once the dust settled on their personal lives, the focus turned to their professional and charitable work. Both Bill and Melinda had a lot invested in their foundation, and it was thought that they would. Before we answer that, there's another shocking revelation that hasn't gone over well with fans and critics alike. Bill and Melinda Gates' divorce was one of the most talked about in recent history. Not only did Melinda reportedly walk away with around $70 billion, but it also revealed an odd thing about their marriage from the start. Bill agreed with Melinda that he would spend one weekend a year with his ex-girlfriend Anne Winblad. Yes, you heard that right, and Linda seemed fine with it. In the 1980s at a computer conference, they were not only romantically involved, but also intellectual partners. Even after their relationship ended in 1987, they stayed close friends. Bill liked Anne's company so much that when he was thinking about marrying Melinda, he asked her first. Anne told Bill that Melinda had a lot of potential. Bill and Melinda's friendship continued after they got married, with Bill and Anne continuing their annual tradition of vacationing together. These weren't your average beach trips, they were more like retreats where they would talk about cutting-edge topics like biotechnology and bioengineering. The vacations were said to be just for fun, but they included. Bill really valued intellectual connection, and while this arrangement may seem strange to some, Melinda agreed to it. In the end, Melinda said that their marriage was irreparably broken, but this wasn't the only thing that caused it to end. In an honest interview with CBS Mornings, Melinda said that their marriage ended not because of one problem. Even though the annual vacations with Anne Winblad may not have been the main reason for the breakup, the connection between Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein was a big part of it. Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein's controversial connection in 2011 came right after Epstein was found guilty of serious crimes like human trafficking and being a sex offender. Offender Bill Gates started hanging out with Epstein. They dated for a few years, and in 2013 Gates visited Epstein's house with his wife. Gates said that Epstein's lifestyle was strange and interesting, but he also said That wouldn't work for me. The exact nature of their relationship is still unknown, but Gates has said that he only met Epstein and didn't have a business relationship or friendship with him. Surprisingly, Gates visited Epstein many times, and he and his wife talked about philanthropy and the Gates Foundation. But Gates denied that Epstein had anything to do with the Gates Foundation or its charitable work. In August 2021, Gates said he hoped Epstein could help fund philanthropic efforts, but nothing came of this idea. Things got even more complicated when it came out that Gates had traveled on Epstein's private jet, even though there had been rumors about Gates. There were claims that Gates and Epstein had met with Thorbjorn and the chair of the Nobel Committee in Strasbourg, France in 2013. They talked about the Nobel Prize and were joined by people from the International Peace Institute, which had received millions of dollars from the Gates Foundation in 2023. Things got even more complicated when it was said that Epstein had threatened to come clean about an alleged affair Gates had with a Russian bridge player. This added another layer of controversy to Gates's relationships with Epstein, making it clear that the relationships were more complicated and troublesome than first thought. In a recent interview, Melinda Gates talks about Jeffrey Epstein's role in her decision to divorce her husband. Melinda French Gates told Gayle King on CBS This Morning that she and Bill Gates ended their 27-year marriage. According to Melinda, there were several reasons for the breakup, but one of the main ones was Bill's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, the late financier and convicted sex offender. Melinda made it clear that she was deeply troubled by Bill's meetings with Epstein, saying, "I did not like it. He met with Jeffrey Epstein," she said, and she also said that she had met Epstein only once. "I wanted to see who this man was, and I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door," she said. Melinda strongly disapproved of Jeffrey E.P., saying that her experience with him was troubling. In response to these revelations, Bill Gates said that meeting with Epstein was a mistake He told CBS that meeting with Epstein was a big mistake that he deeply regretted. Melinda's comments give a clear picture of the problems that led to their split. She said that the problems with Epstein were not isolated but were part of a larger set of problems in their marriage. The fact that she felt strongly about Bill's interactions with Epstein shows how she felt about them. There were many reasons for their divorce, but Bill Gates's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was a big one. What were the other reasons? The untold dark side of Bill Gates. When Bill Gates and Melinda French got married in 1994, their relationship seemed solid, but not everything was as it seemed after the wedding. There were reports that Bill Gates sued other women at work. For example, in 2006, Bill went to a presentation by a woman. After the meeting, he emailed her and asked her to go to dinner. He even said, "If this makes you feel uncomfortable, pretend it never happened." This wasn't the only time this happened. A year or two later, while working for the Gates Foundation in New York, he made an unwanted advance toward another woman. Some employees felt uncomfortable around Bill Gates because he made awkward and sometimes inappropriate advances toward women who worked for the foundation. Many people didn't see him as a predatory person, and it seems he gave women the chance to say no to his advances. However, this kind of behavior led to rumors and tension at Microsoft and the Gates Foundation years later. In 2019, Microsoft's board looked into a case where Bill allegedly tried to have an intimate relationship with an employee back in 2000. The investigation was serious enough that Bill had to step down from the board the next year. But Gates's spokesperson said that the affair from 20 years ago ended amicably, and that his decision to leave the board had nothing to do with this. But how did Melinda feel about all of this? In a public appearance, Melinda French Gates talked about how these events affected her. Talked about how she found out about Bill's affair with a staff member. She thought they had worked through their problems, but in the end they realized the marriage was no longer healthy. Melinda said, "There was just enough there at some point that I realized it just wasn't healthy, and I couldn't trust what we had when asked about other possible outcomes." She said, "There wasn't one moment or one specific thing that happened." "Bill needs to answer those questions," Melinda said. "I never thought I would end up divorced, but she felt she had no choice. I certainly believe in forgiveness, so I thought we had worked through some of that," she said. Despite the pain of the breakup, Melinda has found a new sense of hope. She talked about her feelings, from times when she felt completely lost to times when she was angry. The breakup was a. After more than 20 years of working with Bill and Melinda Gates, Melinda Gates announced that she would be leaving the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in May 2024. This caused a lot of controversy in the charity world. Melinda decided it was time to go her own way after her divorce from Bill Gates. She shared an announcement on Instagram saying that her last day would be June 7th, 2024. She made it clear that she had not made this decision lightly. In her post, Melinda talked about how proud she was of the foundation she and Bill had built together and how much work it had done to fight global inequality. She also showed her support for the foundation team and the partners they had worked with around the world. It was clear that she was ready to focus on her own charitable work, especially those helping women and families. As part of her departure, Melinda will have an extra $125 billion to donate to these causes. What did Bill Gates say in response? Bill Gates took to LinkedIn to thank Melinda for her contributions to the foundation. He acknowledged that as co-founder and co-chair, she had a big impact on the organization's plans and programs, especially when it came to global health and gender equality. While Bill said he was sorry she was leaving, he was also sure she would continue to have a big impact on her future work. When she officially quit the foundation, Melinda said it wasn't an easy decision, but the foundation was in a good place, and it was time for her to move on to the next part of her mission. She will now be focusing on her own organization, Pivotal Ventures, and her continued work to help women and families. In an interview with Time, Melinda explained why she decided to leave the foundation. She was ready to have full control over where all the money goes, which is a responsibility she now fully embraces. Even though she left the foundation, she thought it would continue to do well under the leadership of Bill and CEO Mark Sussman. The divorce that Melinda Gates went through 3 years ago was a big event in her life. Melinda French Gates talked about the strong feelings she had during her divorce from Bill Gates. She said, "I had a lot of tears for many days." And she remembered times when she was lying on the floor in deep despair and wondered how she could have survived. Along with sadness, Melinda said she felt angry, but she said that's a normal part of grieving. She also shared some hope, saying that she's now excited about the future after focusing on her own healing. She said that she and Bill originally split up before getting a divorce in 2021, and she liked being able to handle things privately while still taking care of family duties. She thanked God for letting them separate their lives in a thoughtful way. Melinda talked to Time magazine about how she thought the divorce might affect the foundation. She said that the decision to end her marriage was very personal, but she also thought a lot about her children and the foundation at the time. She wanted to make sure that as she moved forward, everything that was important to her children, the foundation, and herself would stay the same. Unfortunately, that wasn't possible. Melinda's decision to leave the foundation wasn't about reducing her work. Instead, she saw it as a chance to have full control over where the funds go, which is a responsibility she is ready to take on. Melinda also thought about when she divorced. She did it while the pandemic was still going strong, which gave her some privacy during a difficult time. The pandemic gave her the time she needed to deal with the end of her marriage and plan her next steps. Looking back, Melinda knows that the divorce was the right thing for her. She and Bill had built a huge nonprofit together that worked on global health and gender equality. But as she moves forward, she is sure that she made the right decision to leave and go her own way. In addition to her work with Pivotal Ventures, did you know that Melinda is also one of the founders of She started the Giving Pledge with Bill and Warren Buffett to encourage billionaires to give at least half of their wealth to good causes. Melinda's dedication to helping others is stronger than ever, and she's ready to make an even bigger difference in her own way, despite the problems she's had. Melinda is hopeful about the future and determined to keep making a difference in the world. Melinda French Gates is happy and living a normal life after her divorce. Divorce is never easy, and Melinda French Gates has been open about how painful it was for her. She said, "Getting a divorce is a horrible thing. It's just painful. It's awful when you realize you need one." Despite the pain, Melinda has found new joy in her life since the split. She's adopted a simpler, more fulfilling way of life. And it's been great, she said. With Bill as a friendly but not friendly friend, Melinda now enjoys the benefits of living in a neighborhood where she can walk to nearby stores, a pharmacy, and even a restaurant. She loves this newfound freedom and convenience. On a personal note, she's excited about her future and is cautiously dating again. "I'm dipping that toe in the water a little bit," she said with a laugh. In an interview with Today in May 2022, Bill Gates talked about the divorce. He said it was a tough year and that he was responsible for the pain it caused his family. Gates, who was 66 years old at the time, said, "The divorce is definitely a sad thing. I have responsibility for causing a lot of pain to my family despite the sadness." He's optimistic about the future and said he feels good that we're all moving forward. Both Melinda and Bill are moving on in their own ways. Melinda is finding new happiness, and Bill is admitting his mistakes and looking forward with hope. What do you think about Melinda's way of finding happiness and a fresh start after such a big change in her life? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos.